You have probably heard many gardening tips about using banana peels. Many gardeners believe that banana peels can help plants produce more flowers, grow larger fruits, add potassium to the soil, or even replace part of the fertilizer used in the garden. But today, I don't want to talk about banana peels as some kind of miracle fertilizer. I want to talk about something more important, something that far fewer people pay attention to. That is the connection between banana peels and earthworms. When banana peels begin to break down in the soil, the most important thing is not how much nutrition the plant receives right away. The more important question is, what kinds of living organisms begin to appear beneath the soil surface? If you use banana peels correctly, they can become a signal that attracts life back into the soil. And when more earthworms begin to appear, your garden starts to change in a very quiet but very powerful way. In today's video, I'll share 4 ways to use banana peels to attract more earthworms and build richer soil over time. Why are earthworms more important than most people think? You probably already know that earthworms help make soil looser, improve aeration, and increase water retention. Those ideas are not new. But what many people overlook is this: earthworms do not simply live in the soil. They actively participate in turning organic material into fertile soil. When earthworms consume decomposing materials, they are not just eating organic waste. They process that material inside their bodies and leave behind worm castings, a nutrient-rich material filled with beneficial microorganisms that is softer, easier to blend into the soil, and located closer to the root zone. Simply put, earthworms are the bridge between organic waste and living soil. However, earthworms do not stay in places where the soil is hard, low in organic matter, or lacking food sources. They are much more likely to appear in areas that have moisture, decomposing organic material, and active microbial life beneath the soil surface. And that is exactly why banana peels are so interesting. When used properly, banana peels are not just a source of nutrients for plants. They can become the starting point of a chain reaction underground, where microorganisms become more active, earthworms are attracted in greater numbers, and the soil gradually becomes richer from within. Method 1. Dried banana peel powder. This is the easiest method to use. It produces very little odor, stores well, and works for most home gardens. Fresh banana peels contain a large amount of water. If they are buried directly in the soil, they break down slowly and may sometimes attract flies, ants, or create odors in overly wet soil. That is why it is better to dry them first. Cut the peels into small pieces about 1 inch long. Dry them in the sun for 2 to 4 days, or dehydrate them at a low temperature of about 150 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit until the peels become brittle and snap easily. Then grind them into a coarse powder. There is no need to make the powder extremely fine. To use it, sprinkle about 1 to 2 tablespoons around each mature plant. For seedlings or small plants, about 1 teaspoon is enough. Apply it 2 to 3 inches away from the stem. Lightly work it into the top layer of soil and water afterward. This method works best once plants have established their root systems and are entering the flowering or fruiting stage. Examples include tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, squash, strawberries, and roses. This is the stage when plants typically need more potassium to help move water, sugars, and energy toward flowers and developing fruit. For newly transplanted plants, wait about 2 to 3 weeks before applying it so the roots have time to establish. For roses and small fruit trees, It can be applied several weeks before the flowering season begins. It is not recommended for newly sprouted seedlings because young plants generally do not require large amounts of potassium at that stage. For seedlings, maintaining loose soil, adequate moisture, and stable organic matter is usually more important. It is also important to understand that dried banana peel powder is not a complete fertilizer. It should be viewed as a supplemental organic amendment and used alongside compost, worm castings, or organic mulch. One advantage of this method is that once the powder is mixed into the soil, microorganisms begin breaking down those small organic particles. The process is slow, steady, and produces far less odor than fresh banana peels. As microorganisms gain a food source, biological activity in the soil increases. And when soil becomes more biologically active, earthworms have more reasons to return. If you make a large batch, store the powder in a sealed container in a cool, dry place. When fully dried, banana peel powder can remain usable for several months. Method 2. Fermented banana peel water. This method is ideal for gardeners who want to build soil biology, rather than simply focus on adding nutrients to their plants. Many gardening videos online recommend soaking banana peels in water for a few days and then using that water on plants. However, the truth is that simple soaking does not release as many nutrients as many people believe. The more interesting process is fermentation. When banana peels ferment, the plant tissue begins to soften, microbial populations increase, and part of the organic material is processed before it ever reaches the soil. The process is fairly simple. Cut up 2 to 3 ripe banana peels. Place them in a clean jar. Add about 1 liter, 1 quart, of chlorine-free water, or tap water that has been left out overnight. Then add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar or molasses. The sugar is not there to feed the plants directly. Instead, it serves as an initial food source for the microorganisms involved in fermentation. Cover the jar loosely rather than sealing it tightly, since gases will be produced during the fermentation process. Place the jar in a warm location away from direct sunlight for about 7 to 14 days. Stir it gently every few days. When the mixture develops a mild sweet and sour smell, similar to yeast or light vinegar, it is ready to use. If it develops a strong rotten odor, a sulfur-like smell, or unusual black mold growth, it is best to discard it and start over. Before using it, strain out the liquid. Dilute it at a ratio of 1 part fermented liquid to 5 to 10 parts water. Do not apply it at full strength. Apply it around the root zone on soil that is already slightly moist. Avoid applying it to waterlogged soil. Avoid watering during the hottest part of the day. And do not pour it directly against the stem. This method works best after plants have established roots, are growing steadily, or are preparing to enter the flowering stage. For tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, squash, or roses, it can be applied about once every 2 to 4 weeks during the growing season. There is no need to use it too frequently. The important thing is to understand the true role of fermented banana peel water. It is not an extremely powerful liquid fertilizer, and it is not something that will suddenly bring earthworms into your garden overnight. Its greater value comes from introducing partially processed organic material and biological activity into the soil. When applied properly, the root zone gains additional moisture, softer organic matter, and increased microbial activity. These are exactly the kinds of conditions that earthworms tend to seek out. Earthworms are not attracted to a banana peel alone. They are attracted to the environment that develops around it. an environment with moderate moisture, decomposing organic matter, active microbial life, and a steady transformation of organic materials into food sources. When those conditions are repeated consistently, earthworms have more reasons to move through that area. They consume softened organic material. They create tunnels through the soil. They help move air and water deeper into the ground. And they leave behind worm castings close to the root zone. So, if dried banana peel powder is a slow and steady way to support the soil, fermented banana peel water is more like a gentle jumpstart for life beneath the surface. It does not create instant results, but over time, it can help make the soil more inviting to both microorganisms and earthworms. Method 3. Burying banana peels in the planting hole. This method works best when you are preparing to plant something new, especially tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, squash, roses, or any plant that needs a strong root system from the beginning. The advantage of this method is that you only do it once, right at planting time. When you dig the planting hole, cut up 1 to 2 ripe banana peels. Do not leave the peel whole because long pieces break down more slowly. Place the banana peels at the bottom of the hole. Then cover them with about 2 to 3 inches of soil. This soil layer is very important. It keeps the banana peel from touching young roots directly and helps prevent the root zone from becoming too wet or too biologically active at the very beginning. After covering the peel with soil, place the plant into the hole and backfill as usual. Over the following weeks, the banana peel will slowly break down beneath the root zone. It does not release nutrients immediately. Instead, it creates a small underground decomposition point. In that spot, microorganisms begin to work, and the organic material gradually softens. The area around the planting hole becomes a richer food zone for soil life, and this is where earthworms come into the story. Earthworms are often drawn to places with moderate moisture, decomposing organic matter, and active microbial life. A properly buried banana peel can become a quiet food source underground. When earthworms move through that area, they feed on softened organic material, create tunnels around the root zone, and leave worm castings close to where the plant is growing. This method is best used when transplanting or planting new crops. It is not ideal for plants that are already large and have spread out their roots, because digging deeply at that stage can damage the root system. If you want to use this method around an existing plant, bury only a small amount near the outer edge of the canopy, about 20 to 30 centimeters, 8 to 12 inches, away from the stem, and avoid digging too deeply into the main root zone. One important warning: do not put too many banana peels into one planting hole. For a small plant, half a peel to 1 peel is enough. For larger plants like tomatoes or roses, 1 to 2 peels is enough. More does not mean better. Too much fresh organic material in the planting hole can make the soil too dense, too wet, or attract unwanted insects if it is buried too shallowly. So remember these 3 key rules. Cut it small. Bury it deep enough. Always cover it with a soil buffer before placing the plant on top. When done correctly, a banana peel in the planting hole is not just a slow nutrient source. It can also become a starting point for microbial activity and earthworm movement right beneath the root zone. Method 4. Feeding banana peels to worms. For a home worm bin, the amount of banana peel should not be based only on the number of peels. It should depend on how much your worm population can actually process. But for most small to medium home worm bins, here is a practical starting point. If you are raising worms, this may be the most effective way to use banana peels. Instead of adding the peels directly to the garden, let the worms process them first. What you get back is worm castings, one of the most valuable organic materials a gardener can have. Cut the banana peels into small pieces about 1 inch long. Then freeze them for at least 1 night. When you are ready to use them, thaw them and add them to the worm bin. Freezing breaks down the plant cells, making the peels softer and easier to decompose. However, there is one very common mistake: adding too many banana peels at once. Many people think that because worms like banana peels, they can simply dump a lot into the bin. But too much fresh material can make that area overly wet, heat up during decomposition, or ferment more strongly than worms prefer. For a small to medium home worm bin, start with about 1 to 2 chopped banana peels per week. Bury them under shredded paper, dry leaves, or bedding material. After a few days, check the bin. If the worms have processed most of it, you can slowly increase the amount. The simple rule is this: do not add more than your worms can process within 3 to 7 days. If a lot of banana peel is still visible after 1 week, reduce the amount next time. When done correctly, banana peels do not just become worm food. They are transformed into worm castings rich in organic matter, microorganisms, and more stable nutrients for the soil. In other words, you are turning something that was about to be thrown away into one of the most valuable products in your garden. A healthy worm population can often consume about 25 to 50% of its body weight per day under real conditions, depending on temperature, moisture, and the type of food. After these 4 methods, you can see that banana peels are not just a source of potassium for plants. When dried, they become a slow organic amendment. When fermented, they help gently stimulate microbial activity in the soil. When buried in the planting hole, they create a small decomposition point near the root zone. And when added to a worm bin, they can become worm castings far more valuable than the peel itself. But the most important thing is not the banana peel alone. It is the chain reaction it creates underground. Banana peels feed microorganisms. Microorganisms support decomposition. Decomposition attracts earthworms. Earthworms create tunnels, improve soil aeration, and leave worm castings right where plants need them. That is the difference between simply feeding the plant and truly feeding the soil. So the next time you eat a banana, do not throw the peel away too quickly. It may become the next meal for the worms, quietly helping your garden become richer every day.